Welcome to the Planner's Perspective with Jessie Kara. This is the podcast for wedding planners and couples navigating South Asian weddings and everything that comes with them. Culture, family dynamics, money, design, expectations, and the real conversations no one prepares you for. I'm Jessie Kara, a South Asian wedding planner and educator trusted by couples and families when things get complicated. Here we go beyond timelines and Pinterest boards and talk about what actually happens behind the scenes. If you're a planner stepping into South Asian weddings or a couple who wants to understand the process more deeply, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Planner's Perspective. I'm Jessie Kara, award-winning South Asian wedding planner and designer. And today I want to talk about something most couples don't even realize they're doing until they're already deep in it. They're planning a wedding without actually managing it like a project. And I know that might sound a little corporate, but this is the difference between a wedding that feels smooth, intentional, and enjoyable, and one that feels reactive, overwhelming, and constantly one step behind. Because a South Asian wedding is not just an event. It's not even just a multi-day celebration. It's a full-scale production. Multiple venues, multiple vendors, multiple timelines, multiple families, and hundreds of decisions that are all connected to each other, whether you realize it or not. And yet, most couples start the exact same way. They get engaged, they open Instagram, they open Pinterest, they start saving things, and then they book something, a venue, a decorator, a photographer, because it feels like progress. But what's actually happening is they're making isolated decisions without a clear direction. And this is where things begin to unravel because no decision in wedding planning exists on its own. Your guest count affects your venue affects your layout affects your design affects your budget affects your vendor choices. Everything is connected. And when you start making decisions before you understand the full picture, you end up having to undo things, redo things, or compromise on things that actually matter to you. And that's where the stress comes from. Not because weddings are inherently stressful, but because there's no structure guiding the decisions. When I plan weddings for my clients, I'm not just planning a wedding, I'm managing a project. And what that really means is I'm protecting the integrity of the vision from start to finish. There is a sequence, there is a strategy, there is a very clear understanding of what we are creating before we start bringing in the pieces that build it. Because if you don't know what you're building, how do you know what to book? And there's something I want to say very clearly because I don't think it gets said enough. Experience matters. Following a structured plan that has been built over 2 decades of real weddings is not the same as piecing things together from Google, TikTok, or even well meaning advice from friends and family. Over the last 20 years, I've seen that what works, what doesn't, what breaks under pressure, what holds up, what causes unnecessary stress and what actually creates a seamless experience. That kind of experience doesn't just give you ideas, it gives you foresight. It allows you to make decisions today based on what you know will happen 3 months from now, 6 months from now, or on the actual wedding day. It allows you to anticipate problems before they even exist. And that's what structure really is. It's not about being rigid, it's about removing uncertainty because when you don't have that structure, every decision feels heavier. You're constantly questioning yourself. You're wondering if you're doing things in the right order. You're second guessing vendors. You're going back and forth on choices. And the mental load builds up over time. I've had couples come to me after they've already started planning and say things like, "We thought we were ahead and now we feel behind." And that's because progress without direction isn't actually progress. It just creates more work later. This is exactly why the first step in how I teach wedding planning is not booking anything, it's getting clear. It's what I call picture the wedding. Before a single contract is signed, before a single vendor is confirmed, you need to understand what you are actually trying to create, not just visually, but emotionally, culturally, and logistically. What matters to you as a couple? What matters to your families? What are the non negotiables? What kind of experience do you want your guests to have? Because if you don't answer those questions first, everything that follows becomes guesswork. And when I say picture the wedding, I don't mean create a Pinterest board. I mean define the experience. How do you want your guests to feel when they walk into each event? What is the energy of your Mindy versus your reception? How does your ceremony flow? Where are the quiet moments? Where are the high energy moments? How are people being guided through the day? These are things that actually shape your wedding, not just the colors, not the florals, or the outfits. From there, everything starts to build in the right order. Your guest list becomes a strategic tool that impacts budget, venue, and flow. Your budget becomes a reflection of your priorities instead of a random number you're trying to stretch. Your venue becomes something that supports your events instead of limiting them. Your vendors become a team that understands what they're executing, not just individuals doing their part in isolation. And this is where following a structured plan becomes incredibly powerful because you're no longer reacting. You're leading your wedding. You're making decisions from a place of clarity instead of urgency. I've seen the difference this makes. I've seen weddings where everything feels cohesive, where the timeline flows, where guests feel taken care of, where the couple is actually present. And I've seen weddings where the couple is constantly being pulled in different directions, decisions are being made last minute, and timelines are tight, and the experience feels rushed. The difference is not the budget, the difference is the structure behind the planning. And I want to say something that might challenge how you've been thinking about this. Just because something feels easy to do doesn't mean it should be done without intention. Booking a vendor can take 5 minutes, sending an email can take 2 minutes, signing a contract can take 10 minutes, but those quick actions carry long term consequences. You are making decisions that will impact your wedding months from now, sometimes over multiple days with hundreds of people involved. That deserves more than a quick decision. This is why I created Perfectly Planned because I realized that not everyone is going to hire a full service planner, but that doesn't mean they should be left to figure this out on their own, especially not with weddings on the scale and the complexity. What I've done inside the course is take the exact system I use after 20 years of planning multi-day South Asian weddings and I break it down into a way that you can actually follow it yourself. Not based on trends, not based on what you see online, but based on how weddings actually function in real life. The plan method is the structure behind it. You start by picturing the wedding so you have clarity before you make decisions. Then you move into building your foundation, which is where your guest list, budget, and values are aligned properly. Then you assemble your team with intention, knowing exactly what you need and why. And then you nail the details in a way that supports everything you've already built instead of scrambling to pull it together at the end. And when you follow a structured plan like this, something shifts. You stop feeling overwhelmed because you know what step you're in. You stop second guessing because your decisions are grounded in something bigger than a moment. You stop feeling behind because you understand the sequence. You move from chaos into control. And that doesn't mean everything will be perfect. Weddings are dynamic. Things will shift. But when your foundation is strong, you can handle those shifts without everything falling apart. So, if you're at the beginning of your planning process, or even if you already started and things are starting to feel a little off, I want you to pause. Before you book anything else, ask yourself if you actually have clarity on what you're creating, not just the pieces of it, but the full picture. Because once that's clear, everything else becomes easier. And if you want support in doing that, that's exactly what Perfectly Planned is there for. It's not just about helping you plan your wedding, it's about helping you plan it in a way that actually works with guidance that comes from real experience, not guesswork. Thank you for being here. I'll talk to you in the next episode. If today's episode helped things click or gave you a new perspective, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. This podcast exists to support planners in doing their best work and to help couples feel informed, confident, and prepared as they navigate their very own South Asian wedding. If there's something specific you want me to talk about, an episode idea you'd love to hear, a planning story you want to share, or a question you're sitting with, there's a link in the show notes where you can send it all in. I promise I will read every submission, and many of them will shape future episodes. You can connect with me at www.jessiekara.com or on Instagram at jessiekara. If you're ready to navigate South Asian weddings with intention and confidence, I'll see you there. And if this podcast is supporting you in any way, I would truly appreciate you taking a moment to leave a 5-star review. It helps more planners and couples find these conversations and keep the space growing. Until next time, trust your perspective and plan with clarity.